Have you now, or have you ever been a member of the Green Party?
I've always been a member of the Green Party. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Oh, thank you for coming.
Yes. Nice to meet you.
And why was that, buddy? What'd you join up for?
Oh, me?
Do you know why you joined the Green Party?
A lot of reasons.
Like what?
Well, my mom told him. Well, my mom was already in the Green Party, so he had to be in the Green Party. And then also when he was young, what?
Why did she join? Did she sort of think green?
She went to protests. She went to jail a lot, and when he was young, his mom told him about who was it?
Ralph Nader.
Ralph Nader. You take it from there.
I'll take it from there. It's so funny. So I've always been a proud Green Party member from when I first heard about Ralph Nader and the Green Party in 2000. I told somebody earlier today that I hadn't voted for 17 years. I didn't vote until I was 35 years old when I found out about Ralph Nader and the Green Party. And finally, it felt like that was a party that actually represented my views and represented issues and values that I thought were vital to the survival of America. I mean, I just see that the major two-party system and the way that they sort of bend over to please the corporate interests and not the people has always been an issue for me. So finding out the Green Party has been a great thing. And once you register green, it doesn't stop at the ballot box. Once you register green, usually a Green Party member that's ahead of some committee will reach out to you and try to get you involved in some events that are going on with the Green Party, whether it's a protest or a meeting. And then you find out about things you could do at the local level to help create a green world. So it's really been great and something that I treasure, and I try to encourage people to register green whenever they can, and at least just register independent, non-affiliated, because you don't want to be tied to a party that you don't believe in. It's important to vote. If you don't find a party that feels the way that you feel, then register independent if anything. But you definitely should register, and you definitely should vote and become informed.
He doesn't understand the hemp?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Fracking ruins our water.
Yeah, you know about fracking, right?
Yes.
He's like, yes, of course. He's 8 years old. He knows all about fracking.
I'm in 3rd grade. Of course I do.
Tell us about fracking. What is fracking?
Well, it's when people drill into the bedrock and it ruins the water because a lot of the gasoline goes into the fresh water and a lot of the water stays down there. So
yeah,
the chemicals ruin it.
Pretty much, yeah. And they're actually drilling through the rock, right? And they're using chemicals and water to push all that pressure in there, and somehow magically it's supposed to not leave polluted waters, but it always does.
And releases methane.
Right, it releases methanes and a lot of other toxins. And this is one of those things. As a public advocate, we have these industries that are trying to push this through New York State, and even New York City. There's these gas lines that are trying to pump in from the west side of Manhattan and from below Brooklyn. And we've been out there protesting. The Green Party have been large vocal advocates against these practices of fracking and against all these toxins that they're trying to introduce into our public, and they feel that that's fine. I mean, I can go through a whole list. I don't want to use this time to do that, but if you have any specific questions.
If you were to bet money, which way would you say Cuomo's going to go?
Cuomo. Well, Cuomo is a peculiar guy because I think he's going to let everybody wait for the longest time until he finally says, you know what, it's taken so long to make a decision. I think I'm going to make a decision to allow fracking. Because what they'll do is they'll make such a delay that they feel like everything is backed up, nothing's getting done, and there's all these millions of dollars getting lost and not having fracking. So then the only alternative at that point is a fracking, rather than using this time now to look for alternative fuel sources that are not toxic and are not going to
We have
kill
solar
people.
panels on our roof.
Oh yes, we just got solar panels on our roof to show you how green we are. but so that's the tactic that I feel that a lot of people will do this delay. They'll delay, they won't tell you right off how they feel about something, how they want to vote for something. So what they do is with that delay, it makes things get to a critical point, and then they have to make a decision. And the decision is always for where can we make the most money fast. So my name is James Lane. I'm running for public advocate on the Green Party line.
Wait, let's do that thing again. Okay, ready, go.
Okay, my name is James Lane.
AKA Victor Gamble.
He says AKA Victor Gamble because
He was adopted.
he's very proud that this year I was able to find my birth mother, my original mother. I found out that I was adopted at the age of 23 when both of my parents had passed away. And it took me about 25 years of searching. I had to go through many routes, and I finally...
At the age of 23, you were 23 months? Or 23?
No, I was 23 years old when I found out that I was adopted. Both my parents had passed away, and I found adoption papers in a safe deposit box. And at that time, I asked the surrogate court, Department of Vital Records, and a lot of other, city agencies, well, where can I find information about my original mother? I want to reach out to her, let her know I'm okay. If she's still alive or not, I want to know about her. And every place I turned, it was a brick wall after brick wall, slammed doors. You cannot find out anything about your adoption. And that was something that just really, I can't even tell you. Till this day, it bothers me. Even now, after I found my birth mother and my half sisters and cousins, and it's been a great experience, but I can't fully enjoy it because there's millions of other adoptees around this country that are not able to get that information just because of whatever person in Albany or wherever is blocking a simple piece of legislation to go through to allow these adult adoptees to gain access to their birth records.
So you met your mother?
I've met her. She's doing fine. Actually, she's had a tough time. She had a tough life ever since she gave me up for adoption. She told me for 48 years, every April when I was born, she would go through a deep depression, and she prayed every day that she would see me before she died.
Oh, wow.
And so that's a lot to bear. And when I think about that, I try not to get too emotional during these interviews, knowing that this is so against what people are telling you in the street about, well, no, people gave up their children for adoption because they don't want to be contacted by them. If you reach out to them, you're going to mess up their whole worlds. And in many cases, I see about 99% of the cases, the mothers that have given up their children, they've had to go through that really tough choice. It's not an easy choice to give up your child for adoption. But they've done so because of the situations that they were in were so crucial.
Is there language in pending legislation that gives the parent the option?
Well,
Or a waiver?
there is a pending legislation right now. It's a bill A909 that has a lot of Democratic support in Albany, and I think even some Republicans have signed on to it. But there's one particular assemblywoman from Brooklyn, her name is Helene Weinstein, who's blocking this from making it to the floor. She's the head of the Judiciary Committee. And so it's one of those clear examples on how a politician who's supposed to represent the general public, a politician's personal feelings or whatever interest is blocking a bill that has a lot of support from other elected officials to push this through, just for a vote, just asking for a vote. That's all they want. It's written, has the support. It could probably pass, which is probably what the concern is, but she's blocking this. So, I call out to Helen Weinstein to do the right thing and to let this bill make it to the floor for a vote. I mean, that's what she was elected to do. And if she doesn't do that, I hope people in her district vote her out of office, because that's not the type of politician we should have. We should have politicians that respect the rights of the people to do the will of the people. A lot of politicians will throw around the idea of transparency. The public needs to know transparency about our process, transparency about issues that affect them. But to this day, I have not seen a level of transparency that is relevant to the issues that are affecting us now. You know, for example, Bill de Blasio talks about stop and frisk. Stop and frisk is something that was going on for the 4 years that he was our public advocate. People have been complaining about stop and frisk situations, but he's done nothing as public advocate to put a change to that system. And I feel that that is really a simple thing to do. You need to get into the police departments and you know, right now the city council appointed, I think, an independent inspector general. Guess what? That's what your public advocate should have been. Your public advocate is your independent inspector general to make sure these city agencies are functioning, and they're functioning in a proper human and civil way. And so where was Bill de Blasio? You know, and so this is one of the reasons why I've been campaigning even harder for these final days leading up to this election, because I feel that if that was his record as our public advocate, who knows what little he'll do as our mayor. I mean, there's a lot of issues, you know, he talks about this tale of two cities, you know, about this imbalance between, you know, the wealthy and the people that are struggling to survive. Once again, you know, as public advocate, what was he doing during these 4 years? I mean, there's a lot of opportunity to make changes here. Our city budget, for example, we have budgets to spend $13 million for a runoff election between two Democrats that wanted to run for public advocate, even though one of them was already on the working families line. So that was $13 million we could have saved if the Democratic candidate that wanted to run on the working families line realized that horror, that we're spending this money to do this runoff, even though she's on the ballot in November. These are the things that I'm running against, this waste of spending. And then on top of that, we just sent out a voter's guide. The Campaign Finance Board sends out a voter guide, and they don't talk to our city board of elections to see who's actually the candidates that are going to be on the ballot, because now this voter guide comes out and Daniel Squadron, who was one of the candidates running for public advocate on the Democratic line, who got knocked off the ballot as a result of that runoff election, is still showing up in the voters guide in the space that I would have been appearing. So it's so these problems with our government, with our city government, has always been an issue for me. And it's not something I just thought about this year that I wanted to do. I thought about running for public advocate 4 years ago when we were running Billy Talon for mayor. I wanted to run as public advocate then, but I just had my son. Well, we just had our son. He's only 4 years old then. And it was really more important to, you know, raise him the way that we wanted to. And this year, even, it's kind of tough juggling a day job, you know, helping to raise an 8-year-old and running for office. But he's been great. He's been helping me out on the campaign trail. You see, he comes and helps out with interviews, and he helps me do camera work now and then. He's having a break right now. Oh, he's coming back. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of inconsistencies with what the city can do for its people and what it chooses to do for its people. The city has a lot of money in its resources. It has millions of dollars to spend in its campaign finance matching funds program. You know, we have Democratic candidates that are raising hundreds of thousands of dollars that are getting matched 6 to 1, so it equates to millions of dollars for campaigns. But for some reason or another, they're defunding my son's school because he doesn't have like 50 students to a classroom. You know, I know it's an exaggeration, but that's kind of like what Bloomberg would like. You know, he would like to see ridiculously sized classrooms because he wants to operate the schools in such a way that it's like an assembly line. And when you have an assembly line tactic to running your schools, you have assembly line individuals that come out of there, and they don't really come out with like free thought or more innovative ways of thinking. They actually are just good enough to hopefully pass high school, but they don't usually go on to succeed in college.
So statistically, they've studied that, and that backs you up totally.
Yeah, and so there's statistics for it, and I wish I actually had the statistics, and that's a fault of me because I don't have all of those figures. But and I know, and I feel that, you know, yeah. Exactly. And then when you have that, when you have a student that just graduated high school and they're trying to get a job, but they can't really get like a really good job because they have a college education, they have to go for the service jobs, you know, working at fast food stores and whatever. And those jobs are usually offered at below living wage. If you don't want to get that job, then the other alternative is to go into the military, because the military offers an alternative for you as, yes, we'll pay for your college and we'll have a place for you. But you know what? That's not really a great job. That is just a solution to just get somebody off the street and
That's
to...
just the solution to probably get yourself killed so you can't even go to college.
Right, that's my son's quotes. It's a solution to get yourself killed and you can't even go to college, you know? It's just another way to pump more resources into this bloated military budget. To say, look, we need more money because we have more soldiers, we have to equip them more, you know? What we need to do is, this is more of a national discussion, but we need to decrease our military spending. We need to bring our troops home and to bring these resources back to our country. And you know what? All these deficits that we're encountering right now can easily be fixed by reducing this military budget. We have a lot of budgets. You know, we have money to bail out banks rather than bailing out the people that were being affected by the horrible practices from these banks. So there's a lot of reasons why I'm running, and there's a lot of issues I'd like to fix. A lot of them are focused around the unfair practices of the wealthy and the greedy against the working and struggling and surviving in the city. So, I mean, I could go on for hours.
You just said the wealthy and the greedy, which is sort of the same thing.
Well, you know, there are wealthy that aren't greedy. There's far and few of those.
You mean them together, I think, when you said
Yeah.
you weren't making a distinction.
Yeah.
Because if they're wealthy, they're keeping all the money to themselves, which means they're greedy.
Yeah, but there are a few people that are wealthy that actually do a lot of good philanthropic work.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so I don't like to lump them into that group. I mean, you know,
I have a social question for you.
you have a social question for me. What's your social question? Come closer to me.
And the first
so we can hear ya.
I know this. It's in the Magic Treehouse book. They have the dragon. And the first dynasty, what was the emperor's name?
Oh, that's a good question. Tell me.
Emperor Quinn.
Emperor Quinn. Very good.
And he was known as the Dragon King.
And what did he do as a Dragon King?
He was greedy.
He was greedy? Okay, so we have to wrap
Green
up.
and greedy.
All right, so thank you so much for this interview.
Spell out your name.
Oh, James Lane, Jameslane.